If you're having trouble seeing things, if you're having trouble seeing the chat rooms or anything like that, let me know and we can stop and make sure that, everyone is able to see everything because that's important. Just for your clarification, I am actually recording this so that you can see what I see as the host. I did a little like just me host session, but I wanted to do a host session the other way. So I'm going to click on manage participants so I can see all of you. And I'm going to go ahead and make Chris Holland a co-host and let's see who else, not James, but a co-host. Mealy Hot Rich, I want to make you a
that's my new name. If you watch the video that went out last night, the subtitles, the closed captioning, it says, "Hi, I am Mealy Hot Rich."
I love that. That is just like making my heart super full right now. So, I usually like to start with a disclaimer to tell people if you're having trouble, text me or message me in the chat room. And I always tell people, like, I posted a video of a Zoom lecture that I did 2 weeks ago, and it didn't go great because I was in a casino and the Wi-Fi kept dropping me. And it would drop me, and then I would say, if I get kicked out, stay online and wait for instructions. And so it kicked me out. I called the business center. I logged back in. But it felt awful when it was happening. I felt this incredible sense of dread and like stress. But when I went back and watched the video, I was actually only offline for like less than 60 seconds. So it felt awful, but it wasn't a big deal. So I always start with a little bit of like housekeeping and reassurance to tell the students, if you get logged out, log back in. It's not going to hurt your grade. Even if you're in the middle of a speech, just take a breath, take a moment. If your computer's not working, log back in on your phone. If your kids are too noisy, go sit in your car. Like, this is not a high stress situation. You just have to figure out after the first couple times what works for you. So if that happens for you, please feel free to do that. So I'm going to go back. First, I have a list of things I'm going to do. I'm going to share the screen now, even though that's not actually where we're at yet, but just because I want you to see. And I'm in. So you can see my screen, yes? You can see like my email and whatnot when you look at my screen, yes. Thumbs up? Okay. So I'm going to click on ConferZoom. So I went into our Bakersfield College Communication Department B5 course, and I just clicked on ConferZoom on the toolbar. If it's not there, you need to update your navigation page. If you need help with that, let me know, or I'll make another video to help us do that. We're in this session here. If you click host, it automatically launches it. When you don't see host, I'm going to go ahead and create another event. So let's say I created this event for 10 o'clock tonight and I saved that. That's going to add another event. When there's a new event there, you can click prepare. If you click prepare, it takes you into the app and it looks exactly like what you're used to looking at in the Zoom app. So just to be clear, I strongly recommend that you use ConferZoom inside of Canvas because it sends students reminders. It makes it easier for the students to get it. You can have longer sessions, there's lots of things about it, but it's a little trickier to navigate, which is why I made that video earlier. So I'm gonna stop sharing and go back to our face screen. So if you click where I was saying to prepare, it'll open up a Zoom like you're in a session. You'll just be by yourself. If anyone watched the video I posted on YouTube, on that YouTube video, I'm by myself. And if I were to click invite, once I'm by myself, and click email, it will allow me to copy an invitation, which looks exactly like the email that we send out through the app. Does what I just said make sense? So I went into prepare from Canvas, and it opened up the screen that you see. You can't actually see it unless you are one of the people I made a co-host or you watch this video after the fact. But I clicked the button of a person with a plus on the bottom here, and that's how we invite people to our session. Next, after we do the like reassurance, if you get knocked off, log back in. If you can't hear the sound, call in with your phone and watch the video on your computer. Like, there's workarounds for everything. So after you give them that first 10 minutes of assurance, and I even write in my emails like, hey, it's going to take about 10 minutes for everything to work itself out. So have your workbook nearby and be working on chapter 11 that we'll talk about that day. So just do that as well. The next thing is managing participants. Why do you need to know about managing participants? Well, I have the managing participants open. It's on the right side of my screen. If you are a co-host, you should also see it. This is one of the most important things you do as a host, teacher, and administrator. You need to be able to mute everybody. When I say mute everybody, a little button will come up, and I still allow people the option to unmute themselves if they want. But it's important you're able to do that.
Christine, I thought I was listed as a co-host, but I'm not seeing any of these screens you're talking about.
Okay. So,
yeah, I saw only when you shared screen, I saw that, and then when you took it off share screen, I stopped seeing.
So I'll put it back on share screen so you can.
I saw it perfectly, and you hit the manage participants at the bottom, and I saw all your names.
I'm seeing it right now.
Okay, maybe it's just popping up.
There's 8.
Yeah, but the other thing to keep in mind is I'm actually I'm using my Quick Player.
Oh, I see where you are now. Okay.
So I'm using my Quick Player to record what I see from my computer screen. So I'm not actually using Zoom to record this. I'm using my Quick Player, so it will show everything in the video that we're recording after the fact. Okay. But as far as managing people, that's where you can drop down next to their name. You can change their name. You can kick them out. You can mute them, and you can make them a co-host, which will allow them to share their screen. So after inviting people, John, did you have a question?
No, I'm just touching buttons.
Oh, okay, making sure.
How do you make them a co-host? I guess I'm trying, or is it because everybody already is a co-host that it doesn't list it as an option?
So if you're a co-host, because you're not the main host, it won't let you control it yet. But because you're a co-host, and I'm going to make you use that co-host function next. So there's a polling option that lets you ask people questions. I have a friend who uses this for like 100 students at a time, and she leans really heavy into the polling. I haven't had good experience with it, so I'm going to skip past that today because I don't think we need that as quickly. But we do need to know how to screen share, especially if the students are going to do slides. So let's see here. Neely, are you using an actual computer?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I want you to go to the bottom of your computer where you see a green box that says share with an arrow pointing up, and click it.
Okay, I saw the green box earlier, but for some reason when I went to manage participants, I can't see the share screen box anymore.
Should be bright green.
Yeah, it's bright green.
Yeah, but let me see if maybe I closed out the participants thing. No, it's weird.
So at the bottom of your screen, do you see a black like toolbar that has 3 little dots on it?
No.
Can anyone else see the share box at the bottom of their screen?
I saw mine earlier.
Okay.
I did see it earlier. I just don't know.
We'll circle back to it. Chris, why don't you try sharing your screen? Make sure you don't have anything dirty on there because I'm recording this.
Oh, come on.
So click at the bottom and then share your screen. So slides from a class or your email or whatever's open right now.
Okay. I have something for you.
So it takes a second. There we go. So now we can, and this is Chris, this is a great example because now everyone should be able to see Chris's Heidegger homework that she's doing.
Done.
That she did. But when I do Zoom and office hours, I'll ask a student, I'll make them a co-host, and I'll ask them to share with me their Word file. Now, Chris, at the top of your screen, you should see a black bar now, and underneath it, there's a red box that says stop sharing. Click that button. And that's it. So when our students need to share a slideshow, then we'll still see their face in the corner, the way you see my face in the corner and the way you saw Chris's face in the corner, but we can make them a co-host. They click share and then open their slideshow, and then they'll just be able to click through it. Everyone on the call will see the slides as they're talking.
And can they, I'm assuming they can minimize the slides. Say one participant can share it at a time. So you can, like if you click that little arrow next to it, you can make it to where only the speaker can share their screen. Is that what I'm understanding?
Right. So only one person can share their slides at a time.
And say they go to share their slides, and maybe I was looking and I didn't hear you talk about this, but say they go to share their slides, are we just going to see the slides and not them? Can they put it like in a small box when they don't want it to be the main focus up and to the side?
It's a good question. So you can set the options in Zoom to, it kind of depends on how you set it up. Like you could do screen share and choose like to look at your desktop and have your face showing on the desktop and the screens. Or you could screen share and this is what I do. I screen share and tell them to open straight in Google where their slides are and click through where their slides are. Now, when you saw Chris's homework, you still saw everybody's faces in the corner, right?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay, so let me do it.
I'm on my phone and I didn't see anybody.
Yeah, so it's a little trickier from the phone.
Yeah.
So
I found my screen somehow when I minimized the meeting and expanded it again. All of a sudden, then I got the screen share option. So I figured it out.
Oh, okay. I was opening screen share. Let me stop my share. Neely, why don't you share instead?
Let me see what do I have on the computer? Okay.
No, it's good because you gotta be able to talk your students. And I always tell my students, close everything except for Zoom and your slides, because if anything else is open, we're gonna see it.
Okay, so these are the things I've been working on.
No, this is great.
Okay.
Now, Neely, when you look at your screen, can you still see us as little faces in the corner?
I can.
Good, and everyone thumbs up if you can see Neely and her page.
Okay, so then we'll be able to see the slides and the speaker, and then the other classmates will be able to see the speaker. Okay.
Right.
Perfect.
Okay, so go ahead and go back up to the top of your toolbar that's black and the red square at the bottom and click stop sharing.
Okay.
All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is chatting. So how have
Did I interject you for just a second?
Sure.
Now, I know you all teaching B5, but I'm teaching B1,
Thank you.
and they're going to have to stand. I already went through all this with them on Tuesday, and I said, somehow you're going to have to be able, because when they're giving a speech, we have to see their whole body. So they said, you're going to have to stand back far enough for whatever you have, and have your mic on high, I guess, for us to be able to hear you, and we'll be able to see everybody, right? My question is, well, you did that great thing by touching your computer and getting that slide up, but they don't all have clickers. So then they're going to have to go forward, right? And click it, and then they click the slide as they talk about, then they're going to have to click again and stand back so we can see their body. Does that make sense?
It does. So, and it's different per teacher because this is what I tell the students, right? Zoom is what we're using in professional settings a lot more frequently. And even in professional settings, some people are going to want you to stand back. They want to see what you're wearing. They want to see what is around you. I did have one teacher who used Zoom in the past and asked people to make an actual one board that was simple and straightforward with a list of points like they were doing a science fair presentation instead of slides, because to her it was more important to see the whole physical person and their body movement. So I'm also teaching B1. I do actually use the waist up in mine. I don't use the full body because of the mic, because of the slides. It just adds another element. But every teacher has the right to say, these are the things I'm looking for. And quite frankly, in a lot of professional settings, those are going to be the kind of specific things people will look for as well. So it's good that a lot of us are preparing them from different angles on how to use this.
I've even told them that they might have to have somebody close enough to hit the button. Little brother, little sister, kid, whatever.
It's not a bad idea.
You know,
Some
in case.
Some of them might be reassured by not using slides because it's very easy to do a video chat from your phone, but it's difficult to do a video chat with slides from your phone. Mm-hmm. So if you take the slide element out of it, you're actually going to decrease the amount of technology they have and lower their anxiety about that piece of it.
You can still teach how to do the slides correctly.
Oh yeah.
And then they could just actually email the slides to me, and I could check that they're right, and then watch their speech without. Okay, I think I.
No, and when I've taught a couple different variations, but like I was teaching a workshop where I made students. I mean, and this was back in the day. It's not best practice anymore, but they used to have to create slides and then talk over the slides and send me that practice version of here's their slides, here's their audio. And so that was a huge assignment, and then they had to do the speech without the slides. So there's lots of different ways we can do it. So the next thing, moving on, I sent everyone something in a chat box that just popped up, and I asked, how have you used Zoom in the past? So take a second, go to the chat box, and if you are on a computer, it's a little circle with 3 dots in it. You can click it to make it pop up if you haven't seen it yet. John, those of you on a cell phone, it's a little trickier. You should probably see people's faces, and you kind of have to slide over to get to the chat unless my question popped up.
Yeah, there's no question.
Uh-oh.
Yes, there is.
Yes, there is.
How do you find it?
So, like I said, it's tricky on a phone because usually it wants you to see the people first, and then the chat box is in there.
Casey,
I found it.
Yay.
Do I have to hit something? Oh, I have to hit everybody, right? To everybody.
That was the next thing was, so everyone's replying that they've used Zoom to teach after accidents, department meetings, only done it in meetings, but not for Confer. Here is your next task. I would like you.
Hold on, mine didn't show up. How come I didn't send it?
Did you press enter?
Enter. Oh. Enter.
Never used it, but listen to others. Good.
Okay. I use it to connect my grandchildren to their speech teacher.
That's awesome.
But I can't get it to for you all to see it.
So, and I'll tell you, chat is harder for the students than it is for us. If that makes sense. The way we see it as the host is easier to control. So I'm going to make it tougher on you, and I want at least the people who are hosts to do this. If you can still see the chat box, there is a long oval that says everyone with a triangle. Click that and pick someone, preferably me, and send me a message.
Did I do it?
Oh, so I just got, you sent me a private message. That's why everyone couldn't see it.
Oh.
But you sent a message successfully, and a private one. So, and this is great. Like if I see a student is distracted, if I see that someone's really nervous, if someone, like their kids are all over them, or, if anything's happening where I'm like, move somewhere where you're, the light is not blinding us all, I'll just send them a private note. If I, still haven't gotten their paper, I don't have to say in front of the class, hey, you, I haven't gotten your paper yet. I can send them a private message. So sometimes I use chat as a warm-up, and I'll say like, what did you do this weekend? Or how are you going to practice so you're not nervous for your speech? Like I'll give them a question to add on. Okay, so after chatting, any questions about chatting before we move on?
When they're giving their speeches, my kids give, I call them love notes. they're writing notes what the other students did correct.
Yeah.
Can they write that on the chat? But then the student would see it at the time, wouldn't they? They're giving
So I do it after. I require love notes, and it gives me time to finish grading that online space. So I put this in my email. I want to do another session that's specifically how I use it for speeches. But two things that I do require are that when someone's done speaking, everyone has to clap. So can everyone clap for me? So that's clapping. And then everyone has to send a love note. And even when they send a private love note, I can see it because I'm the host.
Got it.
So, but I like them to be public love notes, but if they want to send a private one because they, are embarrassed or they think the person's embarrassed or it's a critical comment, they don't want it to be public. But I require everyone to send a love note before I move on to the next speaker. And it gives us time for the next person to start screen sharing, for that person to stop, and for it to all upload again. But you're right. The rule is they're not supposed to be sending love notes during the speech. I don't want the chat room popping up while people are in there.
Well, you can control that too, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, in the site you can control and say no, and then you can open it, and you can control the fact that they can't hear.
Yeah.
You can turn off their audio. Okay.
All of it. That goes back to managing participants. And like I said, you won't see that right now, but we're recording this. You'll see it later. And that's the one with the people there. Okay, so I record my sessions. I do this mostly on my days that I lecture, but also for ADA compliance. So when we record them, Zoom automatically uploads them to the cloud in Canvas and then sends us a link that is closed captioned.
Okay, I have a problem.
Sure.
I don't use Canvas. Nobody's ever taught me how to use Canvas.
Okay, that's not a problem. So we will do a couple things. First is, if you want, we can make you a really simple Canvas that has nothing but the names of your students and Zoom. And if you want to use it as a grade book, you can, but you don't have to. The second option is you can use Zoom, and we can create a community college account for you. And so for either of those things, either one of us from the department can meet with you one-on-one, or they're having drop-in sessions with Matt Jones at Academic Technology. So you are not the only person in that situation. We're hearing that from probably half of our faculty. So don't feel discouraged. This is just to give you an idea of what's out there so we can help you.
And now that, if I may, we are becoming more familiar with how to use Zoom, and now that we can do screen share, so Deborah, we could have a Zoom meeting, the two of us. We could have it recorded, and then that way you would be able to reference it later, and you could share your screen with me, and I could tell you where to click to set up your Canvas site. And that goes for you too, John. If you need help, I'd be happy to do that. I could have it with both of you if you need help or individually.
Well, is Canvas like Google Classroom?
Yes.
Okay, because I know how to use Google Classroom.
It is a lot like Google Classroom. In some ways, I think it's easier because you can decide, they're so similar, and I use a little bit of both.
Okay, yeah.
But honestly, Deborah, if you end up deciding this isn't for you, there's no reason why you couldn't create a Google Classroom and use Google Hangout instead. There's more limited capabilities with Google Hangout, but at least the ability to do your speeches would still be there.
Okay.
All right, so the next section after chat is recording. Again, I highly recommend doing this. I'm not using Canvas to record right now. I'm using Quick Player. But I'm going to click the button that says record.
Being recorded.
Just to show you that it gives the students an audible cue.
Has stopped.
Someone stopped it.
That was me.
So it just tells you, hey, it's starting, hey, it's stopping, so the students know. And when that has gone off, students have said
This
to me,
meeting is being recorded.
ooh, you guys are getting fancy on me. So students have said to me, I'm not comfortable. Can I put a picture up there or do something else privately in the chat room? And so I'll have a private chat with the students in that moment and stop the recording to make sure everyone is comfortable with their culture or with their body image or, their own personal privacy and security of how is this going to be used, who is going to see it, those kind of things. So I have a lot of recorded video sessions that I send out to the whole class, but I wouldn't send out to the department or the campus because there were specific students that had asked me not to. Okay, so the very last thing I want to play with is breakout rooms. So I'm going to break you into sessions. And in those breakout rooms, I want each group, we're going to go into 2 different groups. It'll automatically tell you when I click breakout rooms, it asks me how many rooms. I'm going to say 2. There are 2 options in breakout rooms. Well, 3 technically. How many rooms do you want to break them into? And then do you want to just auto-populate the rooms, or do you want to manually choose who goes into them? I love this for my small group class because I basically start a Zoom, do an overview of what we're doing for the day, and then I just break them out in their groups. And I can pop into the groups, send them alerts, check back in with them, and then we come back together after a half hour and see where they're at. So I'm going to go ahead and put you in breakout rooms so you can experience that with the people in your room. Please.
Where did you see that at for the breakout?
Yeah, where is the breakout room option?
Okay, so if you can see the screen and there's a black toolbar at the bottom,
Yes.
it shows you invite, manage participants, polling, share. Then there's dot, dot, dot.
I don't see a dot, dot, dot.
And I don't have polling either.
I don't know why those aren't popping up for you.
I have invite, manage participants, share screen, chat,
Okay.
pause, stop, oops, and then reactions.
So
I don't
there,
have reactions.
reactions are great. So there are 2 reasons why that might be happening. I'm logged into my ConferZoom, which is an upgraded version of Zoom. With our traditional Zoom that we get through community colleges or that you get through your work, we only get 40-minute sessions as hosts, and there's some limited capabilities. This is another reason why logging in through Canvas and using the ConferZoom is preferable, because you have more options. But again, if you create your account through Canvas, these will all be open to you. You're still going to be able to use these as a participant, but what you'll be able to do will be limited as a host. And so I just want to make sure that's clear. Let's see.
Can you screen share how you're doing the breakout rooms?
Well, so Neely, the problem is that Zoom hides all of my controls from screen share.
Oh, okay.
It keeps it secret. So
You're recording it on your side.
But I'm recording it, so you'll see it after this. So I'm moving you into breakout rooms, and the question I want you and your group to come up with, I'm going to give you 2 minutes, is what else would you like to know based off this session or anything else from Canvas? So you've been invited to a breakout room. Please accept that invite.
Felt
20
like
more
people were
seconds.
leaving my
Oh, you're
breakout
back. Yay.
I felt like they were ditching me in my breakout room as soon as they saw that they could come back.
They were like, wait, we're done. So that was like really quick. Normally I give them a lot longer. And it's nice, like if I have to jump up and use the restroom, or I want to like cue the next video I'm going to show, or if a student's having trouble and texting me or chatting with me privately, like honestly, that's how breakout sessions started with me. Was a student was privately messaging me and they were in crisis and just freaking out. And so I put everyone in breakout rooms with like a little question to answer. We can also use our workbooks and say, go to this page. Now work on it with your group and come up with a question. All right, so we're back from our breakout rooms. Each group should have a participant that is going to ask me a question. Questions, please.
Where did the tape go?
I guess. Yeah, we each have a question. My question is, where did the videos go once they've been recorded? I mean, they're not going to go on our computer, obviously.
No. So that's a tricky question. I'm pretty sure we have a server with our ConferZoom account.
Okay.
So I mean, this ConferZoom, the like upgraded version that's integrated into Canvas, the California Community College spent millions of dollars on it. So that's why it has all the bells and whistles, and it works with our Canvas, and we were able to record and get it translated. So it's all paid for through those fees that they did.
Okay. So my real quick, I think I have an answer for that. Is that when you are in Canvas and you have that ConferZoom on your navigation on that left-hand side, when you click on ConferZoom,
duh, I know this.
It tells you event recordings as one of the tabs. So you would be able to see the name of it, the recording, the date for those. So I think that's where, and it takes a little bit to upload them because they have to do all of the closed captioning, and then it has to load up in.
So I just did a screen share. So here's event recordings. So it shows right here, they're on here on Canvas, the ones that, and these were little 30-second recordings where I was showing people how record works. But I mean, if I just click on it, it'll show, oh, where'd it go? Event recordings. Go back. Oh, no recording was there. Let's see, check for recordings. No, there's no recordings there. I know some of my other classes, I have done recordings. The other thing, as well as them being there, is that after we record it, it sends me an email and says, it sends me an email with, here's the recording for this session. It's already been closed captioned. My experience, Neely, is that it's never taken longer than 2 hours for them to upload it and send me that email. So I use remind.com for my classes, and 2 hours after we have an online session, I text the students the link and I email the students the link and say, just in case you missed it, here's a link to the direct video.
That was my next thing, is it's link based. Okay.
Yeah, it's link based. And you can make it a private link. You can change the parameters of the link just like YouTube, where you can change it so that it only exists till a certain point in time, or you know, the link doesn't work at all anymore, but which, like I said, I did for some of my older classes, but that's really advanced. I didn't want to go there today. What other questions did you have for me?
My question is, when I was training my class, I came there and the computer at the Southwest did not have a camera.
Yeah.
And so then I'm trying to train them on a phone. And
right.
As John probably realized, it's totally different.
Right.
When you're doing it on a phone. And since I had sent an email, told them to bring their laptops, their tablets, most of them did. I was able to use with another student, but it's really difficult when you don't have a camera.
So I'm really lucky. I teach in Arvin and I teach at the Job Spot, and we have Chromebook carts, which they have at every high school in town, right? Mm-hmm. And so our Chromebook carts have about 40 state-of-the-art computers that have cameras and audio capability. And so I teach Go, React, and Zoom in my classes face-to-face, no problem whatsoever. So one of the arguments that I think, if anyone watches this video in the future, is it'd be great if faculty had access to some of that. But I do know that, you know, we as a department do have a couple webcams that hook into the university issues computers. And so it is possible to use the university issued computer. That's what we use for our department meetings. I think we're going to talk about this more on Monday at our department meeting because it's a huge barrier to us teaching the technology to our students if they can't hands-on experience it before they have to go out on this journey on their own.
Yeah.
Oh, on Monday's meeting, I can go into the meeting on Zoom.
Yep.
Do I use the same link that I just got on? No.
No, Helen will send you a new link.
Is it going to be set up kind of how we do for department meetings?
I don't know because I'm not running that meeting, but if we want it to be, I wanted to have some interactive sessions, both so you could see it from the student's point of view, but also so that I could record it and show people how I'm doing this. Because it's not hard, but I don't want your first time ever seeing it or playing with it to be when you're teaching the class. Because like something new that I tried this semester was I had the students go into breakout sessions of 3 people and practice reading their speeches to each other. And I've never done that before, and they loved it. So just so they could get used to seeing themselves in front of the camera.
A question that John had raised in our breakout session was he wanted to know if essentially, is there a way to record breakout sessions because he wants to put people in groups?
No. We can go back and look at them and see what they're talking about, but it's not recordable in public in the same way that it's totally different. So that is one of the limitations. I know. So what I have done, and I know this is super complicated, but I have had Zoom sessions where in a 3-hour class, I met with one small group for a half hour, one small group for a half hour, one small group for a half hour. That way, everyone didn't have to be logged in at the same time, and there wasn't as much congestion with figuring it all out all in that first couple sessions. It allowed me to, and then I could record it. And they could have one-on-one time with me, but it is cumbersome time-wise on the faculty to do it like that. All right, so that's the end of our recording. Please feel free to email me. Like I said, we're going to do another one that is focused on best practices for speech presentations. This one was more about what are the available applications for us if we specifically use ConferZoom. Okay? Thank you so much for coming. Email me, text me if you have any questions. But great job, everyone.
The link with the recording when it comes in.
I got you, girl. I got it. But I'm going to load it to YouTube so that it will have closed captioning and you can see the screen. So in the corner, I know. Yeah, but you know what?
Hot Rich is my YouTube name now.
I love it. I love it. So to leave the meeting, on the right-hand corner is a red button. I'm going to click in meeting and it's peace out, y'all.